Good morning, everyone. Hope that you are having a happy 4th of July. I am Tyler Johnson and joined by my awesome co-host, Jordan Dalton, for your Network 6 exclusive today, covering the Ohio State Buckeyes. Before we get into that Network 216 exclusive, be sure if you would just take a second, as always, drop a like on today's video and subscribe if you're brand new to Network 216. Trying to reach 2,000 subscribers before the start of football season. We can't do that without you guys. And once again, it's free. It just helps the channel grow. So be sure to like today's video, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. Also, we just made a Network 216 Discord for you guys to check out. So make sure you take advantage of that. You can get the latest sports rumors on your favorite teams. We had 4 all recruiting updates that we dropped last week for you guys to check out. You also get updates on all your other favorite sports teams and sports giveaways, sports betting slips, and much more for you guys to check out. Check out that membership option. The link is in the description for that. And you can also check out the free Discord option that we have that allows you to still interact with other fans, interact with Network 216. So go check that out. We really would appreciate your support with that as we're trying to build one of the largest sports communities in the state of Ohio. And today, JD, we are going to talk about, in the next step of our series, the Ohio State position group preview. This one's going to be a pretty short video, I would assume. We're going to talk about tight ends. Now, I mean, Ohio State, outside of Cade Stover, really hasn't used their tight ends very much. I mean, if you look at it, Joy Royer, he's gone. Mitch Rossi, he's gone. The only other one you're bringing back is G. Scott, who's got 5 receptions for 28 yards and a touchdown last year. But the main guy to talk about is Cade Stover. Now, I don't know about you, but Cade Stover, when Dane Brugler said Cade Stover was a projected top 100 pick, I thought to myself, okay, he should go to the NFL draft. That is what I initially thought. But Cade ended up returning to Ohio State. First off, were you surprised by that move? And what are your overall expectations for Cade for his senior year?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because, like you said, he was projected to go second, third round by a lot of people. And I think him staying is partially him wanting to win a national championship at Ohio State. And then also looking forward to the NFL. He's probably going to be in that conversation for a top tight end coming out of college this year. So I think, especially last year with the guys that were coming out, Michael Mayer was a big one, and he wasn't even the first tight end taken in the draft, and
which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of talent at tight end. I think staying a year, trying to help Ohio State, especially on the offensive side of the ball, like having a new quarterback is going to be huge in terms of we need a leader on offense. And I think Cade staying, he's a returning captain. I assume he's going to be a captain again this year. I think his leadership is going to prove really valuable for this offense. So in some ways I'm surprised just because he was projected high, but in others I'm not super surprised.
I think with Cade, kind of like you mentioned, this tight end class was absolutely loaded. I mean, you have Duncan Cade, Michael Mayer, Darnell Washington, who slid a lot. I never thought Darnell Washington was the greatest tight end prospect, but some believed he could have been a first-round pick. You have Luke Musgrave. I mean, you're loaded at tight end in this class. Cade's going to come back to Ohio State and have the opportunity to probably be the second tight end drafted because he's not. The reality is, love Cade, but he's not going to put Brock Bowers. He's not. Brock Bowers might be, some believe, could be a top 10 pick. So Cade's in a position where he could have an absolutely big year. I think, like you said, he will be captain again. I hope he is the Block O this year because I think he deserves that, and it would make a lot of sense for him to achieve that and be given that jersey. But we'll see what happens. He's a huge safety blanket for Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, Lincoln Keenholz, whoever becomes quarterback this year. But now behind him, this is where it's spotty because you don't have Mitch Rossi anymore or Joy, and I think Mitch Rossi was more of a safety blanket too, as far as like he could step in if needed, even though you ideally didn't want him to do that. The G. Scott Jr. is a former wide receiver that they moved to tight end, and he just never has really adapted to that. I mean, 6'3", 239 pounds. He's a lot smaller for a tight end. He's in kind of a tough spot. I feel like he's more of an H-back than he is a true tight end. So the question becomes, who do you think ends up being the backup this year? Because we do have G. Scott, but we also are bringing in a tight end prospect that the Buckeyes are very, very high on, and that's Jelani Thurman, the freshman tight end. And I think, personally for me, Jelani Thurman is a guy that the Buckeyes really like, first and foremost, 6'6", 253 pounds. He is someone who showed a little bit in spring ball, not a ton, and you can't really judge based off what you see there. But, man, this doesn't even look like a tight end. He looks like a wide receiver at tight end. So how do you think that backup tight end spot ends up going? Because I think Jelani Thurman, if he has a big fall, I think he can take that job.
I think this is one of the things with Ohio State's offense, we don't utilize tight ends that much. So, I mean, you look at Cade's numbers last year, he had 36 catches, a little bit over 400 yards. He had a couple touchdowns, I think 5 touchdowns, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, he had decent numbers for a tight end, but it kind of fell off after that. G. Scott, 5 catches. Like, I don't see backup tight end being a super important position for this offense. But I think Thurman could bring something to the table in terms of his size and athleticism. He's one of the top tight ends in his class. So it'll be one of those things, you know, Scott's been trying to convert to tight end for a couple of years now. He's a little undersized for a tight end. I mean, you're looking at Scott, who's maybe 6'3", and then you have Thurman coming in who's 6'6", and Scott. I mean, look at the picture. His arms are crazy long, and he's probably gonna play a lot of. They might isolate him outside and play like X receiver or something. He might be like a red zone threat in a couple of years for this offense.
He's built like Kyle Pitts. He is very similar. I'm not saying he's Kyle Pitts, because I still think Kyle Pitts is one of a generational tight end as far as the way he's built and just the athletic ability profile that he brings. Jelani Thurman, though, from just a physical standpoint, is very similar to Kyle Pitts.
Physical attributes. I mean, you're talking about him coming in and lighting the world on fire. That's probably not going to happen. Especially this offense is not geared towards tight ends at all. And no. We talked about it last year a couple times. We had a couple guests on, and we were talking about Cade, and we were it was after the second or third game of the season, and Cade was getting the ball a lot. And it was kind of like shell shock, because Ohio State hasn't been using their tight ends for years. And we've had really good tight ends with, you know, Jeremy Ruckert coming through, Vanette, guys that are like playing and contributing in the NFL. So, to see Cade be so productive last year was kind of shocking. And I think part of it was the chemistry with CJ Stroud. I think they had a lot of chemistry. You know, they were they kind of came up through Ohio State's system together, doing scout team and stuff. So I think that contributed. I don't see any way that this position is. I see it being important, but I don't see it being the center of our offense. So and we could kind of, like you said, this is going to be a short video, and we can kind of project who's going to be the backup. But in all reality, I don't think it's going to matter unless Cade goes.
Well, and that's the thing, though, is like that's the biggest. I mean, we saw him get hurt against Georgia, and I think Thurman is that guy personally. It goes down who do I trust more. Do I trust someone who technically isn't even a tight end, G. Scott Jr., who that dude just is not – he's in a tough position. He really is. For him personally, I wish he would have transferred because I think he could have been a wide receiver and started somewhere because he still was a talent. I just don't – moving him to tight end has never been something I thought was smart. I really like Jelani Thurman. I think if the way you're looking at it to shake out, obviously Cade's the starter. I think, too, to look at, JD, they are starting to feature the tight end more. We saw that with Cade. They never did that much with Jeremy.
Do you think that was because of Cade's ability, or do you think it was because of CJ and Cade's chemistry that they kind of connected? Because, like, we always had tight ends running routes, but they were never getting the ball.
I think personally it was they tried to become more balanced. I feel like they tried to balance I never expect the tight end to have 500 receiving yards, but I do think 300 to 400 every year is pretty realistic in this offense, and I think that's what they want to try to do is take more advantage of the bigger guy that they have and take advantage of that skill set.
I will say what's going to be really important this year, more so than any other year, is Cade's ability to block in line.
Yep.
So
100%.
With us, losing pretty much everybody on the offensive line, especially the tackles, Paris Johnson leaving, Juwan Jones. We're gonna need some help on the ends, especially if we're running a zone or in pass protection. Cade is a pretty good blocker. He's usually up there in terms of his block grade on PFF. So I think that's where he definitely separates himself from the other tight ends on the roster. We have no clue if Jelani Thurman's going to be able to block, like as a true freshman. We have no idea.
But here's the question then that I raised to you on that. Do you trust Jelani Thurman at 6'6", 250, 259, whatever, or G. Scott, who's 6'3", 239? That's the question.
I think it goes to your point also, where we don't really use G. Scott as a tight end in line blocking, and he will kind of play that like wing tight end where they like to use him in motion a little bit, but he's not going to be the guy that's banging with the defensive ends of Michigan in the trenches. He's just not the type of player he is. He's more of like a wide receiver tight end hybrid, where he's more there for his offensive abilities, creating plays with the football in his hand. And that's like the big juxtaposition of the tight end of most of, you're looking at college, but now in the NFL, you need these guys that can block and catch. And it's kind of funny. They do the dirty work of the offensive linemen. They run the routes of the wide receivers, but they don't get paid they don't make the money of those players, but they're asked to do both things. So it's an important position. I think Cade is one of the best in college this year. So I think we're in good hands as long as he stays healthy, but there's a big question mark after him on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree, man. So as we're wrapping things up, this is what I have for my depth chart. I got Cade 1. I got Jelani Thurman at 2. I really do. I think he's going to have a chance if he can become that second tight end. He's going to have a chance to be the starter in 2024 when Cade ends up going to the NFL. Even though you're bringing in some I believe 2 4-star tight ends, I still think that, Thurman can establish himself and earn that job if he really performs like we believe he can. And then after that, I got G. Scott Jr. as my third tight end, and then Zach Herbstreit.
I like it.
You got the same?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, guys, like we said, that's definitely a shorter video today on the Ohio State tight end room. Next time, we're going to be going over the Ohio State offensive line. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. We lost a ton of talent on the offensive line. I don't know who's starting. I don't think any of us know who's starting, so that's going to be fun to figure out. But anyway, here, guys, once again, if you're enjoying the series, please drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're brand new to the channel, as we're on our road to 2,000 subscribers before the start of football season. And be sure to check out that Network 216 Discord. Again, you can join for free, or you can look to upgrade to a membership for $10 a month. The link is in the description for that for you guys to check out. Appreciate everyone that's been enjoying the series. It's been a lot of fun for us. And be sure it's about a month away, return of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast will be on the Network 216 YouTube channel and, of course, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We can't wait to talk to you guys all again soon. And go Buckeyes!